Hello, how are you today? I'm so glad to have you here with us. I hope that today is bright and sunny, just like it is right here where I am outside, but that more so inside of you, that it feels really, truly bright and sunny and happy in your life. That you are living in the heart, the soul, the core, the presence, and the perfect reality of who you are. I really do want to see you live that way and thrive in all that you do. Because at the end of the day, the only person that we can really be true to is ourselves. We have to be true to you. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, an international best-selling author of multiple books. In fact, I just put out book 21 and I'm working on more of them. And I love to help people write, publish, market their books to bestseller, discover their story, the real them, the who that's inside of them. But more so, behind the curtain, what I do is I help you find that up level, the next, the you that is beyond you. I want to be the diamond that shines through you, not to build my kingdom, really literally to build yours, to allow you to sparkle and shine. Because the thousands of authors that I've worked with, the cool part about that is that equates to literally millions upon millions of people that their messages have reached. And I want yours to be the next one. I want you to see in the midst of everything that you are worth it, special, worthy, and that you do have something to share with this world. And in doing that, we want to be true to ourselves. I want you to be true to you. In everything that you do, I want you to know who you are, to live as that person, and to really be true to you. You see, here's the problem. Life happens. We come out of the womb, as little children, we have kind of that innate wonder and awe, and it gets killed in us sometimes way too early. But at some point, the real world comes in, whether it be, older brothers and sisters that are just being older brothers and sisters, and we begin to take on the teasing as being for real as opposed to just being teasing. Perhaps it's an event that happens before you've even gone to school with neighborhood kids. Maybe when you got to school, maybe there's issues with the kids, or worse yet, is the fact that you're this young, energetic, active child with their imagination going everywhere. And you're then told to spend a big piece of your day sitting down, shutting up, and listening. It's a really, really good way to stifle our creativity, isn't it? And life happens throughout all of that. We have failures, we have victories, we have disappointments, we have all kinds of things that want to rob the real us from us. And so, what do we learn often to do? Often, we learn to play pretend. We, many times, don't even really know or remember who the real us is. We don't take the time to drill down on why we do and why we're passionate about what we're passionate about long enough to be able to really truly get who we are and why we are passionate about that. I always use the example of trying to figure out who you are, as the example of, when you parent teenage children, especially, but anybody really, that thing that when you talk about it, people roll their eyes, especially like I said, teens, right? Because you talk about it so much. It's amazing to see somebody who isn't necessarily overly articulate in normal speech, who, when they're set off on their path, become really elegantly glowing, powerful, and more than that, really excited about what they're talking about because it's the heart and soul and core of their passion. And yeah, it's all too easy to have said it and been so passionate about it that the people who know us the best have heard us say it too much. Some of you may be even saying, yeah, Steve, I know that. I've heard you talk about these kind of things way too many times between your podcast interviews and your Facebook lives and stuff like that. I've heard this all before. Okay. It's the heart and soul and the core and the passion of who I am. And rather than allowing us to dim that candle, to turn down our light, to stop shining the real who we are, we need to really double down on that. But often we don't. And more than that, we very, very often, even though we know that certain things set us off and they can just come up and we immediately have something we need to say about it, the real question becomes why. Now, some of those things come from hurts and pains and maybe even joys and victories that happen in our lives and aren't necessarily the core of the passion of who we are. But that one thing, and you know what it is. And if you don't, go ask your best friend. They'll tell you, oh my goodness, every time we start talking about such and such, you just go off on a tangent. Okay. Why? Why do you do that? Again, maybe as a parent, maybe what you're constantly saying to your child is clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room. But why? Is it just because you're a broken record and the only thing that you can say is clean up your room? I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure your kids think so, but I don't think so. There's a reason. Maybe you grew up in a really messy house. Maybe you grew up in a really, really clean house. Both of those can have the same effect. People who grew up with really, really messy mothers often find themselves not wanting their houses to be like that. And so they will clean them, sometimes overly clean them, to try to make up for the mess that they grew up in. Others Others grew up in a very regimented cleaning schedule, and it's just ingrained as part of who they are. And so when they are repeating, clean up your room, that's not really the passion of them. That's really just a habit that is so ingrained in them that they're supposed to. But then the question when we go deeper is, well, why are you doing it? Why is that still important? Why do other people choose to not carry those things from growing up that they were taught and had ingrained in them? They choose not to be those kind of people in the world. And others double down on that kind of thing. What are you getting out of it? Now, I want to stop here because, and although many of you heard me go much deeper into that, I want to take a little bit of a left turn at Albuquerque here because I really want to talk about being real, being true to you. And this is where a lot of times we run into problems. And that's why I want to take this left turn here, is because sometimes that thing that we're harping on, that thing that we're always talking about, it boils down to something really simple. And that's the fact that it's the mask that you put on. It's not you being true to yourself. Okay, we'll go back to the cleanliness thing. Maybe what you'd really love to do is to take a break and not clean house one day. Maybe you just want to have like Saturdays be no house cleaning day. Okay, but you've never ever done that because you have ingrained in you a message that good people clean house every Saturday. And so if you skip a Saturday, you must be being a bad person. You're not being true to the heart and soul and core of who you are, but rather you're living a lie in front of the world, yes, but more importantly, yourself. You're not being true to you. You're not taking the time to really know who you are and then live that truth. You're instead allowing things in your own mind and stuff that other people have placed on you to be the definition of who you are, what you think, and how you feel. And that makes a huge, huge difference. And I challenge you today, really look at those things. Am I being true to me? Or am I living somebody else's version of my life? That doesn't mean, and I've seen on TV where it's like, and then I discovered that I was living the life that my parents wanted for me. And so I totally did a 180 and did absolutely the opposite of that. Sometimes that may be, most of the time, it's not quite that drastic. Most of the time, it has more to do with understanding who you are and really then living that out as the best version of who you are today. Doesn't mean you need to call work right now and quit, before Monday morning comes up because you've discovered that you're not living your real life, your authentic self. You're not being true to you. But what it may mean is that you need to take a look at it and be like, you know what? I think I need to begin to really look at this job that I've got. What are the things of it that I really love, and what are the things of it that I don't? What are the things about this company that I run that I really want to run, and what are the things that either one, most importantly, you shouldn't be doing, or two, maybe nobody in the company should be doing it? You need to do the same thing with friendships. Some friendships are worth it. They absolutely are. And, to the point of figuratively, if not literally, giving your life up for a friend. There's no better friend than a man who will lay down his life. There's no greater love, rather, than that a man would lay down his life for a friend. And absolutely, you need to have, ride or die friends. You absolutely do. And some of them, you need to be like, hey, uh, I need this to be a two-way street friendship. And I need you to be my ride or die too, and not just have me always be the one careening off the cliff on your behalf. It's okay for it to be a two-way street. You might want to look at it if it isn't. Just some random musings. You see, when we talk about being true to yourself, there is absolutely a Bible verse. The Bible verse says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I'm going to take that a little deeper and say, the things that you focus on grow. The you that you define you as inside of you is the you that you become. If you tell yourself negative things, you notice I didn't say it because I don't want to give those power, but if you say those things, they take root. There's a power in the way that our brains work that whenever we ask it a question, it wants to solve that problem. Why am I? Oh, your brain's just waiting for me to finish that sentence. But why don't we ask ourselves the question, why am I so successful? Why am I thriving in my life? Your brain wants to answer that question just as much as it does the why am I negatives. But we're constantly asking the woe is me, why am I, why me questions that we don't allow our brain energy to go towards finding positive solutions, but rather to go towards making sure that we've justified all the negative things that we so easily say about ourselves. And then when it comes to those things, we really need to look at them and we need to say, hey, where did that message come from? Is that mine? Is it because I screwed up one day and I started saying this and it stuck? Is it because of something that a sibling or my parents or a boss at work? There's nothing worse than when a boss at work says very cruel and demeaning things to you, and then you go home and the person that you're with says those same things to you. It can be a soul killer. It really can. I get it. I know what that feels like. And then as we begin to identify those messages, we can start asking ourselves, is that who I really want to be? Is that really who I am? Is it fair to say these negative things about myself because somebody else said them? And the worst of it is, I love this. I think Dr. Phil was the first one I heard say it, although it may have even been before that. And it's the problem of the fact that when somebody does something cruel to you and you're going over it and over it and over it, and it's beginning to define your life, the worst of the whole thing is the person who said or did that thing, sometimes they don't even remember. Almost all of the time, they're off still just living a good life. That horrible thing they did to you had no impact on them. Now, shame on them for doing that, but we need to not give it as much power as we do. We need to love ourselves, to be true to ourselves, to define who we are, and then live fully that way. Be really bought into our own lives. We really need to do that. We need to give ourselves permission to love ourselves, to stand up for ourselves, to be true to ourselves, to say, hey, you know what? You're amazing. I'm so glad you're in my life. Have you ever said that about yourself to yourself? Have you ever looked in the mirror and said, hey, you're an incredible person. You're really amazing. You do some pretty cool stuff. I love how you show up in the world. I'm very, very proud of you. I hope you know how special and important you are to this world. Now, I hope that me saying that to you here at the camera doesn't mean that that's the first time you've ever heard it. But if it is, I'm glad to have stood in that place for you because it's absolutely true. I want you to believe it. I want you to hear it again. You're amazing. You're incredible. You're wonderful, precious beyond compare. You do such cool and amazing things. It's such an honor to know you, to be with you, to spend time with you, to rejoice and celebrate at everything you do, because you make the world a better place. Thanks for being you. I challenge you. Look yourself in the mirror. Look deep into your own eyes. Let a little sparkle be in there. And love on yourself. Be true to you. Don't buy into the mask and the falsehoods, the tales that we tell ourselves and others to try to feel better about ourselves. Just be the real you. Whatever it is, that's okay. Just be you. Love you. Celebrate you. And live who you are in this world so that you can live and know that you are uniquely brilliant. You were created for a purpose, and the world needs you. They need you to be the true you, to get real with yourself and then live it out there so that you can live thriving and truly free. Thanks so much for spending some time with me here today. I hope until we're together again next time, you're happy, safe, warm, and loved, and that you have a really amazing week this week.